Welcome back to BT, and summer brings on lazy days, lounging in your backyard, and of course, family vacations. We got to keep your budget and sanity in check. We got finance and travel expert Mary Choi here to tell us exactly how to master the perfect family vacation this summer, because we all see these families when we travel that are scattered. They're panicking. Sure. Or you've been that family, because
I just got back from Europe, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about those families with the maps. They're like, this, where am I going? And they got their phones, like, what's going on?
And then you get like kind of chaotic with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And then the kids are stressed out. They've landed, they're carrying 5, 6 bags. They got the crib and everything. It's like, what is going on? Where do I begin? It's like, how do I start, right?
Where do you start? Do you get the kids involved right away?
Yeah, for me, I think you got to get those kids involved, because, you know, one memory, and I don't blame my parents, but like when we did road trips as a kid, I was buried into my Game Boy, and like we're literally driving by the Grand Canyon, and it's going by here, and I have no idea what's going on. But as I got a little bit older, they got me more involved. They're like, hey, this is where we're going. Are you interested? It's like, oh, it's kind of cool. Maybe we can trip plan a little. And, you know, I'm not telling you to tell your kids that, hey, plan out this road trip for me, and we're just going to do the driving, right?
Yeah.
But if you can look at a few, you know, monuments along the way, or something, some museums that get them really interested, or attractions like kids museums that will get them excited, I think they're going to be way more excited about the whole process.
Do you have specific destinations where you think it's a little bit, I mean, besides, you know, the theme parks and things like that, that might be a little bit easier for parents to be taking their kids so they can get a little more involved that way?
You know, for me, a great destination, I would say, is Portugal. Not only is it a fantastic place in Europe, but it's cheaper than, say, Spain or the UK, right? There's so many things to do in these countries. People start to get obsessed with, you know, those resorts, and that's cool. But you go to a destination like Portugal, you got Lisbon, which is a great city, great food, and it's so kid-friendly. But if you go south of the country, then all of a sudden you can enjoy the beaches. You go north, the parents can join wine counties. So there's so many different things to do. That's one spot I love. But, you know, you talked about theme parks, and there's nothing wrong with theme parks, and it can be expensive. But at the same time, parents should know, hey, just look for those packages. See if there's any dining options, or maybe staying off-site where you can save a little bit of money. So travel does not need to be expensive.
Well, there you go. And you touched on it about the expense. When you're traveling with a family of 4 or 5 or however you may have in your litter right there, you know, it's expensive. So what are some of the ways that you can save a little more?
So the first thing we talked about is the cheaper destinations, but think about your overall travel. I know most parents won't be able to do this, but if you can avoid traveling in the summer, so avoid July and August, that's when you see the airline and hotels go up 25%. Maybe early June, consider pulling kids out of school. Again, I'm not necessarily saying to do that, but if it's a possibility, maybe with older kids, you can save a lot. That being said, you know, if you're forced to travel during the summer, consider traveling on a Tuesday through Thursday, because traveling on Friday through Sunday is always more expensive. And, you know, we talked about hotels. Instead of staying in the city center, I just came back from Amsterdam. I stayed 25 minutes out on a tram ride, right? And hotels dropped about 30%. But again, it's like, it was almost an equal distance. I didn't lose anything by doing that. And, you know, people were worried about, oh, but then I got to take a taxi. It's like, no, you just figure out how to take public transportation.
Well, and that's one thing. You got to prepare ahead of time, right? You do your research about these destinations, and you can save a lot of money that way.
That's right. And, you know, I get some people, you know, they're busy with their kids in school and they don't have time to plan, but consider just taking a tour. There's so many operators out there where you can just book it, and they'll take you, they got an itinerary, you just got to get on that bus and just enjoy the sights, right?
So what are some of the small things that we may forget in our rush, in our panic, and, you know, when dealing with every last minute detail?
You know, to me, it's always about the money. So, you know, think about your credit cards. Most banks these days, they know, because you've got a PIN, that you don't need to call them in anymore. But if you've got a credit card that's not with a major bank, you should call them and say, hey, I'm traveling, blah, blah. Make sure your debit cards are good. But more importantly, don't forget about travel insurance. A lot of people think it's like, oh, I've got, you know, provincial health care. It's all good. But that doesn't necessarily cover you when you're overseas or even outside of your home province. So you got to make sure you're covered in case there's that accident.
That's it. Mary Choi, thank you so much. MoneyWeHave.com is where you can get more information, and we'll have more BT right after this.